Hi guys, it's Saeed Mohammed here with the concept of the Security UK Trade Union. I say concept because at this moment in time, we're not legally established. What we're trying to do is, as you are, I'm sure, well aware, is build up enough interest within the Facebook group and other internet groups, and hopefully face-to-face, to encourage people to show their interest and their desire to have a trade union, or maybe even an association, something which I'll talk about in another video, where we can represent ourselves foremost in demonstrations, involving ourselves in dealing with security companies face-to-face, dealing with the SIA face-to-face in certain aspects, certain issues where we feel they've gone wrong, and also dealing with retail companies such as venues, clubs, pubs, breweries, and retail shopping organizations in regards to why they are so willing to have security officers at such a low wage. We understand the profit margin, okay? But remember this, the SIA have made it very clear that we're professionals. Therefore, as Jay said in an earlier video, we are not interested in having a minimum wage. We are not interested in having a living wage. We are only interested in the end game, which is a professional wage. That's our end game. How we go about that, well, these are the strategies we have to work out. And the most important thing is that whether we become a trade union or an association, a club if you like, then we have to make sure that we can last. We can sustain ourselves financially so that we are around for many, many years so that we get to that end game. Now, the reason why I've mentioned this being sustained as an association or a trade union and the end game is quite simply that a couple of days ago, I had a written conversation with a former secretary of a security trade union. And the reason that he gave to me why it only lasted 18 months. And now this is very, very important for you to listen to, because quite a few of you have genuinely wanted help with employment issues. And I have no issue with that. As you can see, I've helped people out of my own expense, or I've not made any charge whatsoever, and it's only cost me time. Why was it important for him to tell us about why the trade union did not last? Well, it was because I asked him that question. And the reason I asked him that is there's only two ways for human beings to learn from mistakes. One is to actually live out those mistakes yourself personally and pay the cost. And the other is to learn from other people's mistakes, other organizations' mistakes, and then don't go down that road. And one of the primary mistakes he made was when starting a trade union, he sincerely got on the bandwagon of making it clear that part of the subs that you give will help you in regards to legal and employment issues. Unfortunately, even within the security industry, there are people that are unscrupulous. Can never say that word. Dishonest. And what I mean by that is they don't give a flying fuck about the union. All they care about is themselves. So what they were doing is, some of these people, they were contacting the union or joining the union, paying the first month's sub because they were already in the shit employment-wise. Then they would, within a week or so, contact the union and say, look, I've got a really big issue. I need you to help me. I need representation. Now, because the union was at its post-birth stage, it didn't have the infrastructure of satellite offices everywhere. So the very few individuals that are actively involved, usually for their own expense or using what small coffers they had in the bank from submissions of a small amount of people in that union, they were using all that money to go down and at times 500 miles journey to deal, let's say, with an issue. And I mean there and back, of course. And then when they resolved that issue, that union member was no longer a union member because he'd cancelled his subscription. Now, they had one cheeky bastard who actually, and get this, he cancelled his submission after being assisted. And then a few months later, he forgot he cancelled his submission and was in the shit again, employment-wise. So he contacted that same union. They checked their records and told him, well, we can't help you because you're not a member and you actually cancelled your submission last time we helped you. He didn't put the phone down with his head bowed in shame. He actually had a go at the union, saying how dare they, and then wanted to have a go making it public that how bad this union was. So we can't go down that road post-birth of a trade union. We just simply cannot afford it, and I'm not willing for the time myself and Jay and others are going to put into establishing this trade union, and if not, maybe an association of brothers. Either way, we are not going to go down a road which guarantees that long term we're going to die, or short term we're going to die as a union. That isn't why we're wanting to establish a union. So from that lesson learned, we've decided that initially, and you need to bear with us on that, we are not going to use part of your subs to help you with employment issues. Now, having said that, once the website is up, and that clearly it's going to be up before we actually start the trade union, there is going to be plenty of pages on question and answer and issues that most often come up with employment issues. We're going to help you become in the know. Because to be truthful, if I could learn it all, you can. I never, ever with an employment issue have someone sat next to me assisting me. Now, I'm not saying that everyone can do that, but you can learn quite a lot about your rights. For instance, I'll give you an example. And this is quite new to me because I didn't know. If you are contracted by a security company as self-employed, then you are your own boss. You are a contractor yourself, which means legally they don't have any lawful right to insist you wear their uniform. Of course, if you're on a building site, then HSE, Health and Safety Executive, would insist that at times you have to wear a helmet and no doubt always wearing steel toes. That's totally different. I'm talking about, let's say, some door supervisors or retail guards. You do not and are not required to wear their uniform because they can't make you because you're a contractor. I didn't know that. Well, I found out through a poster that is now on our Facebook group and also reading more about it on the internet. Also, you are not, and get this, you are not under their disciplinary rules, i.e., my advice to you, and it will happen with me in the future, if ever I am classed as self-employed in regards to a contract, or sorry, not a contract, if in regards to being a contractor, I will get them to sign a contract that this job is for 6 months. Now, if suddenly the shit hits the fan and they suspend me with no pay, okay, one, because they might not like me for some reason. Whatever the reason, they suspend you with no pay, okay, they can't do that. You're not under their disciplinary rules. You don't work for them. You're just contracting to them as a separate boss. You're your own boss. Therefore, because they've signed a contract saying that you're there for 6 months, then you can take them to a small claims court and you can reap, or let's say you've only worked for 2 months, then you can reap the next 4 months from a small claims court because they've signed a contract. Now, the problem with that is most security companies won't do that. They have a right to say we don't want you at the very beginning. However, if we're able to start this trade union or an association of brothers and sisters, and we get all of you on board and we have several thousand people of top quality door supervisors and retail guards who all the time keep coming to these people and saying, well, if I'm going to be self-employed, you've got to sign this contract. Think about it. Then all that'll be left for them is the shit, the shirt fillers, the ones that don't turn up for work, the ones that make excuses all the time. Then they're going to have to come on board with that. In fact, it's your legal right. So those type of things will be up on our website. Also, I'll be doing videos like this explaining certain situations and scenarios so that you can understand your rights. Now, just a word of warning for any of you that are only interested in yourselves and you're only interested in employment situations, that's all you think a union's for, then my advice is, very politely, because I'm a very polite person, fuck off to the GMB, because they've got all that set up. They'll look after you. Yeah? I've given some silence there for you to think about that. If you are here and coming here only for one thing, employment issues, then fuck off. We don't want you. Okay? I'd rather the union didn't exist than have people like you in our union. Now, it sounds quite harsh, doesn't it? But you need to think of it this way. We are here not to put plasters on the broken bucket. We are here to replace the bucket with a new bucket. The illustration meaning that we are not here to deal with all the problems of employment issues and the upsets because of the SIA, because of security companies treating you like shit because the SIA allows it, and because of retail organizations clearly wanting just their profit margin, and it's more of an insurance issue to have security guards, okay? And that causes employment problems at times. We're not here for that. We're here to cure the SIA, which I view as the virus. We are here to deal with security companies, and we're here to deal with retail shopping organizations with certain strategies that will be long-term of use and will actually replace the leaking bucket in the end, as long as we have a large representation with a new bucket within the security industry authority. So just to make clear, to conclude, we are not going to be dealing with employment issues initially, because one trade union tried to do that solely based for security officers, and they were destroyed financially within 18 months. We can't do that. We need to build up an infrastructure. We can only build that with a large gathering of brothers paying their subs continually and being loyal to the end product. Now, in regards to our first steps, and that is demonstrations, you may think, well, that's going to cost me money. Well, it cost Jay and myself money to do all this. All of this did not come from a miracle. I've had to pay for it, and I've bought it specifically to be able to give you videos and explain things to you on a personal scale. Now, if you think about the demonstrations over the last few years, and we've had a lot in the UK, I filmed quite a lot of them. I may not always agree with why these people are demonstrating, or how. It's more to do with how they go about it and their viewpoints. But I will give my life to defend their right to demonstrate, right or wrong, with their viewpoints. I'm usually there, and I'll use my democratic right to tell them I think they're wrong, or film them, and then tell them later I think they're wrong. Don't always disagree with everything they say. But the point that I need to make here is that these groups aren't trade unions. They're an association of brothers and sisters with their own political viewpoints. And in the end, there's a call on Facebook for them to come to a demonstration. And when they were going very well and everybody believed in them, they were getting large numbers. Now, each and every one of them, if they were working, were taking a day off work or using their day off, using their own money to go to a demonstration. Now, why did they do that? Why did they sacrifice that time and money to do that? They did it because they actually believed in the demonstration. So those are the type of people, in regards to believing in us, believing in the fact that they're in it for the long haul, that it isn't going to happen overnight, that we have to use certain strategies to win the war. Now and then we'll lose a battle, but sometimes you have to lose a battle. For instance, the suggestion of committing ourselves immediately to employment issue help. We have to lose that battle in the long term to win the war. So I think you'd rather know that straight away once we've come to that decision. If you don't agree, then tell us you don't agree. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to help people. I'm doing that now. But when it comes to using any submission money we have later on that's going to kill us, we're not going to do that. We're not committing ourselves that way because it's not fair to the brothers that are putting money into the union. Remember, your subs, it's still your subs. It's your money. It's not my money. It's not Jay's money. It's the union's money, but it's your money. So we're going to have to be responsible and wise with your money so that long term we can be successful in our end game. Thank you very much. Saeed Omar Mohammed of the proposed Security UK Trade Union. Have a good day. Goodbye.